Okay, this is how to export stems from Logic Pro, but this can be applied to any digital audio workstation. Apologies for the dog barking in the background, hopefully he's not being too disruptive. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to save a separate copy of the project. So make sure it's saved as a folder and all of these dialog boxes are ticked. And save. And this will copy over all the audio files to a separate folder, because what we're doing is potentially damaging to the project. So we want to make sure we're keeping everything on a completely separate project, saved in a separate area. Okay, so now that's done, I'm going to open up the mixer area. We're just going to take a screenshot and we're going to grab the entirety of the tracks from the EQ to the fader. Obviously depending on how big your project is. And this is assuming that you've already named your tracks properly as well. Okay, now we're going to want to open up effects such as reverbs, delays, modulation, and we're going to want to screenshot those as well. I am mostly assuming people are going to be using reverbs on auxiliary channels instead of on the channel strip itself. Okay, we're going to have a quick look at the automation. Now a lot of people who use MIDI might have some, say if it's the EX2, then there'll be maybe some cut-off, some resonance automation. We're going to want to pull those up. We're going to make sure all of these are named correctly. We're going to want to pull up that, and we're going to want to take a screenshot of that as well. So we're going to get rid of any volume automation on the tracks. We're going to make sure all our pan is centered. Now we're going to go through the process of turning everything off. Always check your output. Cool. So, volume automation, want to get rid of that. Let's just run through what we've done. So, we've named everything correctly. Mixers off, right, okay, so gain. So we're going to want to make sure everything is not clipping and is of a reasonable gain. So anything above -18 is great. If you can't get it that loud, don't worry. -18 to -6 is perfect for me. That's the best amount of headroom I can ask for. Okay, I think we probably are all set up now. Cycle range, we want the cycle starting at the beginning of the project and ending at the end. I think we're good to export. File, export, all tracks as audio files. Okay. Right, again, file, export, all tracks as audio files. Okay, click that anyway. Include volume pan automation. So it's a little bit, I imagine it's quite unclear whether the other automation is actually, oh it must be. Yeah, I would say that. So I don't really use MIDI instruments, I've got analog hardware. So this is something that will probably reveal itself in time, but I imagine that this button will take off, like I asked, it will take off the volume and pan automation, but it will retain the other automations, such as automation to the cutoff of a synthesizer, the resonance, the attack, all of those wonderful things, all those wonderful parameters it shall retain that information. So do not include volume and pan automation, but we've already manually done that, and it's good to do things twice when it comes to things like this. Okay, so here we are. I've already made this somehow, this folder. There's our logic folder, and here's where our stems are going to go. Click export. Let's have a quick look. So our screenshots should go in that folder as well. Just dragging me anywhere. And you can see that the stems have been named as well, which is why it's very important to name the tracks well. Is this done yet? No. Okay, so that's going to take a while. When it's done, let's see if I can find... Right, that folder isn't being used. Once your folder's done, compress it. Then that's everything I need. You've got the stems. The MIDI's been converted to audio. It's retained the automation effects apart from the volume and pan. It's exported all the tracks. Everything's labelled correctly. There are no effects. There's no EQ, no compression. Everything's at the correct gain stage. And we have screenshots of the effects which will allow me to match them using various other plugins such as the Waves collection or the Fab Filter Lot or Valhalla, should I say. I think I've talked enough there. I think I've covered everything, but any questions, do let me know.